Welcome to the Be Savvy Show. I'm your host, Clara Rose. Each week, we talk about crafting your message or other matters of influence, or we have a special guest. So, if you are building a business, ministry, cause, or brand, you are in the right place, my friend. Today, I do have a special guest, and it's one of the funnest parts, the most exciting parts of my job, a special guest who also happens to be one of my authors. And usually it's because we have a brand new book that's just launched, and that is the case today. So please help me welcome to the show, Courtney Burkett. Are you with me, Courtney? There you are,
Hi.
my friend. Isn't this a fun and exciting time?
Yes.
It totally is. Now, so Courtney, you are a school teacher. Talk about a little bit about how being an elementary specifically teacher made you want to go down this path of writing a book because it's hard work, right? Talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit.
I have been in the field for about 15 years. I've also worked in various other states because my husband was Navy, so we traveled. And in my classrooms, I have noticed that there were certain topics or certain things that I wanted to address with my students that I couldn't necessarily find a way to discuss it or possibly a way to approach the topic to have a discussion. And so when I did my first book, I decided to talk about learning differences, differentiation, what it takes to learn. There are various kind of strategies and things that students do that are different from one another. They're very unique. Each person is different. Yet they kind of feel like when they're in school, there's only one way to learn, and that's honestly a photographic kind of memory, which is optimal, but not everybody has that. So I needed to write something in order for there to be kind of like this lesson for students who learn differently or use strategies in order to get answers, that was okay. And then after I did that, I moved on to behavior because I felt like that was a topic that was really huge in the past couple of years. That was a struggle not only for teachers but parents to address. So that was the second book that I did, and then my third book I wanted to address just kind of how students communicate with each other, and definitely towards adults. I felt like because of technology, kids were losing that socialism. And so I wanted a way to address that, as well as kind of them learning how to be empathetic at a younger age in order to practice that skill and move it forward. So that was the third book that came out. So each one has been like through teaching and learning. Um, I've kind of come up with these topics, and they were topics that I saw in Virginia and Georgia and here in Florida, where I am now, that just is a theme across our nation that students kind of need to learn about at a very young age.
Well, and these guys are young. So you're teaching like 5, 6, 7 year olds, right? So
Yeah.
these are kind
Yeah.
of like adult topics almost. These are big topics for little people to wrap their brains around. So the perfect answer, of course, is to put it in a children's book in a way that makes sense. Not an easy thing to pull off. And I think
Yeah.
you've done it beautifully. Your first two books, of course, you did before we met. So that you
Hmm.
have another publisher you worked with on those,
Hmm.
and they've been out for a while, haven't they?
Yes,
How
my
old are
first
those?
one, and Aim My Way, was out 2019, and it was my first book. So you learn as you go. So when I go back to my first book that I've done, I'm like, oh, I need to do this better, or I'm going to make that better. Um, so each book that I've done has gotten better and better and better. And then my second one was, I think, 2022 was when this one came out. All of them are available on Amazon, but same thing. Kind of learned from the first book that I wrote onto the second one, and I entered some contests to kind of put myself out there. But the one contest that I entered, they had students that judge your book and they write back to you about what they think about it. And so that kind of helped me with each book that I've done to get better, was just kind of like what they liked and what they didn't like. So it was kind of cool.
So real life feedback from the students,
Yeah.
right? The actual, that's kind of fun. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
And
great way to know.
they were like international. So it was kids that were reading my book,
Oh,
like in London. And yeah. So it was like I kind of, because I wanted to branch out and spread it as much as I could. And yeah, they were like from other countries that were sending me feedback. And the teachers of those classrooms were sending me feedback. So it was kind of cool. So that helped me create. This last book was like a compilation of all of that put in together. So
all the advice and all the stuff you've learned
Mhm.
along the way, the process. And then of course, you're already writing your next book, correct? I know
Yes,
you,
yep,
you,
yep.
yeah. So
Stop blaming Barbies is what it'll be called.
stop blaming Barbies. That's
Yes,
awesome.
this one will
So
be
it's,
about kids that kind of make bad choices. I shouldn't say poor choices, is what we say in the classroom and what we encourage parents to say, but poor choices. And instead of owning responsibility for it, you kind of put the blame on something else to make it, you know, not necessarily you're involved or your fault or whatever. But it'll be another cute story that is full of cute characters that all cultures and demographics can relate to. So I'm excited. But that should be probably
fun.
around 2026, I think, is when I'll put that out.
That one will come out. So let's talk about the one at hand. So I am holding right here. This, of course, is the proof copy because we just went live and I don't actually have a copy in my hot little hand yet, but look how adorable this Down with Pins is. I love now have you worked with the same designer the whole time?
Yeah.
The same graphic artist?
Yep, he's a graphic artist from India,
Yeah.
actually. And I worked with him on my second book, Prestige Summit, and I love what he did because he was able to do it in a way that I wanted. It's really hard to kind of find an artist, and I know the first book I published, it was their artist did the work, and it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't like the quality that I wanted. And so for my second book, I was like, I'm going to reach out to somebody and do this. And then I used him again because he's just really good at creating very cute, comfortable, fun loving characters. And the scenes are very detailed that go along with it. So I'll use him again for the next book because we just have a really good relationship between us. So, but yeah, he's in India, so time frame is a little different. But yeah, he's awesome.
Yes, we did have a little bit of that. Oh yeah, he's not awake yet. I can't get
Yeah,
this changed today, right? Because
yeah,
he's sleeping right now. So,
yeah,
which was a different experience because I had never worked with somebody overseas, a
yeah.
designer or somebody overseas. So that was a different experience for us as well in house. But he did do beautiful work. So talk with us about what is Down with Pins. What is this book about?
Down with Pins is about a story basically where the children's materials feel like they aren't appreciated, they're not used anymore by adults, and they are realizing that adults use pens all the times now and they don't use them anymore. And so they want to create a way to take care of those pens so that the adults will use them instead, like they used to when they were younger. And then, in a way, they instruct the child in the book, which I left as you can tell throughout the book, I don't really put a lot of um, characters in there. So the character that's in there, you can say is a boy or a girl because we don't show, which is a big purpose of why I like to kind of do that. So you can kind of put yourself within the book. But they kind of instruct her on what to do, on how to kind of relate to and be more involved with the special big human that I called it in the story. And then I put activities in it to kind of be creative so that you could actually practice the exercise with your child or your students so they can actually like try and facilitate ways to show empathy. So that's why there's exercises in there too, because I just thought it would be important to have activities and ways that you can actually execute the skill while reading the story.
Right.
And of course, at the end, everybody, something happens. I shouldn't say, I almost did, but
Yeah.
I won't.
Don't give it
Almost
away.
did, but I won't. So that was close. But yeah, so I just it was another lesson that I just felt like I saw from a bunch of kids that and it is a lot of technology, and technology is amazing. I think it's great for teaching. I think it's been amazing springboard for our community. But I feel like the one downfall of that is that kids have issues with socializing and learning those skills due to that technology social kind of thing that's going around. And so I don't really want children to lose that. And so I just felt
Right.
like, this would be a good subject to kind of approach and, obviously, I think have more meaningful conversations even with, adults, so.
One of the things that I thought was so adorable was like the little pen war, right? We have this little
Oh,
war
yeah.
going on because they're like down with pens, down with pens. So they're having
Yeah.
this war.
Yes.
That was super cute. And so they're crayons and different
Mm-hmm.
glitter and all sorts of stuff having this little
Yeah.
war going on. I mean, of course, it resolves in the end. We know that that's true. Um, just such a great job with the little expressions. And I think kids will find it super engaging and super fun. It's very colorful. Um, it was really fun for me to work on because I don't
Oh.
do a lot of children's books. So
Yes.
it was fun for me to play with little, and we had to do some modifying of some graphics. So that was fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved the little the little pages. So up here it does say you can photocopy this page. You don't actually
Mm-hmm.
have to destroy the book itself. I suppose you could, but photocopy the pages and then the little activity that you can do with your big human, and then the big human puts their name at the bottom, completed by this big human. So you could use it with, mom and dad, or you could use it with grandma and grandpa, or so you could use it repeated times. And there's
Mm-hmm.
just a handful of them in here, but just some fun activities that they can do together with somebody that they love, somebody who loves them. So super fun gift for the holidays
Yes, the
for
timing could be
any
great,
parent.
right?
The
It's a
timing was
great,
perfect,
yep,
right?
great gift. They're
A
not that
fun gift.
expensive, so yeah.
Yes. Yep. They're not expensive, but they're just a super fun gift, something that you can do together, which I'm always looking for things that I can do with my grandchildren, although mine are well beyond this age because mine are
Then
all
yeah, then
teenagers
the
now.
next round of children. The other thing I thought about with the book, which I wrote on the back, was like it was something you pass down. I mean, a lot of times, photo books are rare now, right? But when I go
Hmm.
home, I look at photo books that my parents have and then their parents have. And then I just kind of thought this is a way to kind of have that continue because everything is so on the computer, we kind of lost that. So to even see handwriting that, you know, future generations could see their great grandma or their grandmother, or, when they were 5, they can look back and see what their mom's handwriting looked like, or their dad's, or, whoever, their uncle. But I just thought it was a kind of cool thing to pass down as well. Always keep it within the family. Like, oh, this was their, it talks about your hopes and dreams. It talks about the responsibilities you had at the time. It talks about, the favorite clothes that you wish you had or that you own and you would like to wear, things like that I think are kind of cool keepsake memories for
Hmm.
families.
I think that we definitely have lost that. I thought about that the other day as I was taking some photos. I'm like, I'm never going to look at these photos again, right?
Yeah,
Because they
it's
just
such
like
a
live,
lost
yeah,
thing. But it's
it
really neat
really
though.
is.
I mean, yeah, it's such a lost thing. But, you know, we always have to find creative ways to bring it back, I guess. So I guess in an essence, this is kind of my creative way to kind of bring that back. And, you have to, when you do children's books, you kind of have to be a little different, because there's so many wonderful books out there
Mm.
and there's so many creative ideas out there that it can be like a little stressful when you first start a book until you find your niche, and I kind of think I
Right.
found my niche. But I remember my first book I did, I was real nervous. And, I kind of didn't tell anybody at first because you just kind of doubt yourself, but you just kind of
Mm.
have to jump into it and really, take the time. I wrote the book 5 years before I published it. Like that's how fearful or kind of, I just
Mm.
kept it in my back pocket. Like I didn't have courage to do it until 2019, but I had it written, way back when I was teaching in Virginia because I just felt like back then I needed something and wanted to do something for the students that I worked with. So, yeah, I just feel like there is a fear when you first start, definitely,
Mhm.
when you first start writing and becoming an author. And then now I feel more
So
confident.
true.
Like, yeah, the band-aid comes off. But I think for me, it was definitely scary at first, for sure.
And you're not alone in that. It's scary no matter what book you write, whether you're doing, a children's book or you're doing a
Hmm.
memoir or you're doing a self-help book, whatever it is that you're doing, that first book is always a little unnerving because you're like bearing your soul to the world, right? You're putting it
Yeah.
out there and it's a forever thing, right? Books are
Yeah.
forever things. They
Yeah.
live forever.
Yep.
So super scary.
Yeah.
um, so talk talk a little bit about the difference, if you don't mind, the difference between working with the publisher that you worked with before and then working with Rosedale, because I have a sense it was probably a very different experience. So I'd love for you to share what your experience was between the two of them.
Sure. Well, when you first publish a book, it's like overwhelming because when you Google self-publishing, independent author companies, you get like a ton. And so basically, you're kind of going in blind because they all have reviews, good and bad. So you're just kind of like picking one. Um, I found that this last book that I did, I really wanted to kind of find someone local, which is kind of how I did it. I just kind of researched people that were local to me because I just thought I really want more control and I really want to talk to somebody face to face. And I really want, that experience for me not to be more about the amount of money that I'm giving. Some of these companies, my personal experience, they will say and do a bunch of things for you. But I think after once, you kind of put yourself out there and they publish it, you kind of don't really hear much from them. You're kind of on your own. You kind of have to market yourself. They have packages, but then again, you're like paying more for the marketing packages. And I personally, if someone had told me earlier, which I wish they did, but everybody has their own little kind of journey when they take to being an author. I wish someone would have told me, go to someone local. Don't think that because, this big company with tons of reviews and, they're going to give you a deal, a 50% off if you choose a certain package, that that's where you should go. I think I've had more success with this last book that I've done with Rosedale than I have on my other two. I think the other two were more, I was a customer than I was a client. So my advice would be to really research the local publishing companies in your area and get a more of a personal, experience. It is hard. I mean, I'm very grateful, Clara, that you saw like value in what I wrote because, publishing companies can say, it's not the kind of stuff that I do, type of thing. But, that's where you just have to keep researching. But I would have taken it into a very smaller than I would have taken it to a bigger because that's where I started was like huge. And now I'm like, I don't want huge where you're doing, thousands and thousands of books a week. I'd rather have somebody that's really giving attention.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest differences between like the big publishing houses and a small, publishing house or boutique style, that you just get way more personal service.
Hmm.
You become a client it kind of becomes, most of them become friends, right? Because you spend
Yeah.
so much time working so closely with them, and you get that control that you just don't get when you have a big name publisher, right?
Hmm.
Like you were talking about your first book, you aren't really happy with the graphics, but you just don't
Hmm.
really get much say, right? You
Yeah.
get what you
Yeah.
get, and once they've got your money, then you get what you get. And so that's definitely been our goal as a publishing house, is to make it a different experience. As a literary consultant, I want it to be a very different experience. So thank you for
Hmm.
that. I really appreciate that. Is definitely my goal. Um, and
But
you've
I
just
do
been
want to say
super
this
easy to
because
work
I
with.
have to be completely honest. With any service that you're doing, and this is just like to authors in general, with any service that you're doing, the quality that you want, you have to make sure that you know you are, how do I phrase this, you understand that like there's a price to it, right? Like I know that
Mhm,
like if I want a
mhm,
really good book, like I'm not going to get one. So, just keep that in mind when you're like doing a book. Like if you want the best services, you know, it comes with, reasonable prices, but those prices are
mhm,
with tons of services like involved. Because I think I've had some friends that have made books and they haven't liked it, but I'm like, you're paying for the service. So
mhm,
whatever kind of book that you want, if you want really good quality, somebody that does really good work is going to charge you for their work. So I just want to
mhm.
like kind of
Yep,
put
that's
that
true.
out there because a lot of
So
people
true.
want something a lot for a little. And I just feel like I should say that, like, you know, if you want a really good book, you're going to have to like make, some sacrifices on or be acceptable with what the publishing house presents to you as a contract of, payment for services. And I am
Right.
completely
Mhm.
happy with
So true.
the service that you've done for me. And I think it was fair on both sides. I think it was fair for you and all the work that you do, and you deserve that. So I'm just kind of speaking on behalf of you because I just feel like if you want really
Sure.
high quality, like with everything, it comes with a price. So
Yeah,
just keep
it
that in
does.
mind.
Yep.
So,
Yep, and you're absolutely not wrong. I have had people say, "Oh, your prices are high." I'm like, maybe you could go find somebody who would give you, rock bottom, you know, Walmart pricing. I mean,
hmm,
that's not the right thing
yeah,
to say, but you get what you pay for. So find
yes,
somebody. There are too many people out there saying, "Oh, I'm a professional doing this," right? Um,
hmm,
and they've either never done it before, or maybe they published, one of their own books, or, people, videographers, that's another great example of it, right? I use a professional studio for my show because they know what they're doing, right? I
right,
pay them because they know what they're doing. There are people, out there who will, or just do it on your own, you're fine. You get what you pay for. And
exactly.
especially when you're putting it out there to the world, hire a professional, right? Pay the
Yes.
money,
And I mean, like,
get
this
what you
is, and
want.
no doubt on anything, I'm proud I did it, but like, this was not as much as what, and the way it is what I got. So I think the more I kind of was like, okay, I want to put more execution into this and more research and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just totally agree with, you know, keep that in mind. When someone's giving you
Yeah,
prices, consider how much they have to do.
yeah,
It's a lot. It's a lot on your
yeah.
end. It's a lot. So I wouldn't have been able to make this possible.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm just honored to have been a part of this journey. It's super cute. I'm super proud of the book and super
yay.
proud of you. I look forward to your next book coming out and see
Yes.
what other fun thing that you're doing. I love that your books are not just entertainment. I love that they're teaching something. There's real value in them, and so I think that's what definitely drew me to the project when you first came to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this. You're making a difference in the world around you in your own small way, and that's definitely what this show is about. Somebody out there making a difference, and you are, my friend. um, well done. So we are
Thank you, though.
getting we're just about out of time, but how can people reach out to you if somebody says, oh, I need to get a bunch of these for my classroom? Can they reach out to you for special pricing,
Sure.
or
I have a website. It's www. Let me just pull it up because I.
don't want to say it wrong and send them to the
I
wrong
yes,
place?
I know, right?
Yeah.
And
Of course, they can find you online, and then BurkettAuthor at
yes,
gmail.com.
yes, they
If you would
can.
like to
Yes,
shoot me an email.
and they can also. I am. My email is the. Well, they can use. I guess they could
Do you
contact
want
me through. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
the
I'm
Burkett
trying to figure out
author,
because I
the
have
Burkett?
so many. Yeah. There you
Uh,
go.
let's just send them the BurkettAuthor at gmail.com, because that
Yeah.
is associated with your
I was gonna say I have
on
like so
KDP with
many. Like it's
Amazon.
my teacher, my
Yeah,
personal, my
yeah.
business. Yeah.
That's a better place
Like
for
which
sure.
one?
Okay, we are completely out of time now, but thank you so much for being on the show. I have had it's been such a joy to work with you, and thank you for
Oh,
taking the
thank
time to be
you.
here today. Okay,
Thank
talk
you
to
for
you
having
soon.
me.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.